So welcome back to Latino Free Minds. The co-host Daniel. My other co-host Danny is on PTO. No, I'm just kidding. It's his wife's birthday, so I told him, if you got to do something, hey, that's more important. Go for it.
Mrs.
Yeah, we like doing this podcast and all that, but we have jobs. Unfortunately, at this point, the podcast it's not like an income thing, right? We're kind of just doing it because we're trying to spread the word. So we like doing it, but we have responsibilities at home, and at the end of the day, family comes first, right? So so he's doing that. Happy birthday to Gloria.
Happy birthday.
Hope she has many, many more, and I'm sure she'll listen to this. But yeah, he's out doing that right now. We got a guest co-host, my boy Christian. How you doing, Christian?
Doing good, man. Made it through the winter of death, so I'm doing good, right? You made it.
Yeah, you're still kicking, right?
I'm still alive, man. Touch my hole.
Oh man, but no, it's been a crazy week
2 years.
Every week feels like 2 years, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like the stuff me and Danny just talked about on the last episode, it's like by the time we hit this one, it's like completely different things. But we've been talking about recently is, it's kind of like the same playbook. It's now you're back to the same gun control talk, right? Because obviously the shooting happened in Nashville, and we can get into that. But, it's all political knee-jerk reactions that are part of the same playbook, which is, trying to ban guns, right? Trying to punish law-abiding citizens for the actions of just a crazy person.
Right. No, yeah, and shout out to Danny. Big shoes to fill for the show right now. But I have heard him talk about it. Just how vicious the news cycle is, and how from here to tomorrow it's just a whole different thing. Something pops up, or it's crazy right now.
Yeah. So obviously we have the shooter in Nashville. Honestly, I didn't even bother to look up her name. Because it wasn't her, but you got that whole other aspect of her identifying as a man. And I think to me personally, it's not a gun issue. I think it's a mental issue, right? And for someone to do that, right? To have it cross their mind, oh, I'm going to go shoot a school, or I'm going to shoot kids, right? Kids at a school. It's something more than just, because I know people are trying to say, especially the trans community, it's like, well, we're oppressed, or we're basically, like they're victims, right? But, to me, it's more than that. It's like something's wrong with someone mentally, regardless of, to me, that's a whole nother mental issue. Regardless of that, like for you to process that in your mind and actually pull through or follow through with it is a whole nother issue that doesn't get addressed, right? Like I was saying, it's automatically blamed. The gun is blamed, right? And we all know that a gun on its own won't shoot anybody. It takes a crazy person to actually go shoot somebody. So what do you think about the whole Nashville shooting?
Yeah, well, it's terrible, right? The whole thing is just it's sad to see, especially in these times. But I just think she's you're always walking on a tightrope, right? And you might even find yourself like right now, but
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy because like I think it doesn't fit the agenda, right? Well, in a sense it does, and then it doesn't. it fits the agenda in, the school shooting aspect of it, but then it doesn't because the shooter, right?
Right.
I'm sure if it was a white male, which, I mean, if they believe all that liberal logic, wouldn't it be a white male? So in a sense, their weird world, it does fit their narrative. You know what I mean?
Right. It's not the suspect everybody thought, they were expecting
Yeah.
somebody, and it turns out, it's one of them.
It falls like on somebody that, is basically part of their agenda. And so, it's crazy because if it would have been reversed, if it would have been a quote unquote Christian went and shot up some LGBTQ school, whatever, right? Could you imagine like the outrage that there've been? You think Joe Biden would have opened up a press conference that he was going to speak about and start making jokes about
Right.
ice cream and good looking kids in the back, which is kind of weird,
It's
but
just not a good look. It's not a good look, and it's especially, you hear all these arguments of like what it can be, or maybe it was too much testosterone. They love to say, too much testosterone, or too little, or but there's a difference between all that and maybe a hormonal imbalance, something where she or he, honestly, they're going through it. We're
yeah.
expecting them to be all right and to handle guns, and you know,
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because the thing they'll tell you is like, oh, we need background checks and this and that. But it's like you can't just go pick up a gun. Like there are background checks, and until someone has done something crazy, a background check isn't gonna stop anything.
right,
You know what I mean?
right,
So, which has been the case with some of these shooters. Other shooters have been on FBI lists. They've been watching them, and somehow they pass a background check,
right,
which to me is like the FBI is, I don't think they've had like the worst streak possible, just all around. I think
right.
everything the FBI has been involved in has just sucked.
Yeah.
Most shooters were already being watched by the FBI, or the FBI knew about them, and somehow they're able to pass background checks. And that to me is like, how is that allowed, right? If these people are really about that, and they have people that are questionable, I don't know, or maybe it's one of those things where if those people didn't break laws, then yeah, what is the FBI going to do, right? But I don't know. I just find it odd that they know all these people that are doing these shootings.
Right. And it's the fight with the alphabet, the agencies, right? The CIA, the FBI. There's no talk, or there is too much talk amongst them, and it's, once you start talking about, making provisions on guns and who can buy them and when you can buy them, that's, we got the Second Amendment for a reason. And when those government agencies try to start overreaching because they want us to feel safe when they're around, that's where I have my issue. I think everybody should be responsible for themselves and take care of themselves.
Yeah.
The constant argument of why do you need a gun? Why do you need 15 rounds? Why do you need 30 rounds? I mean, all those questions go out the window as soon as you find yourself in a case where you need it. And then you're like, oh, now I know why I need 15. Now I know why I need a handgun in the first place, and it's, they pin us down, and, as long as, big government's got my back, that's what they want me to hope for.
And that's what I think it was either yesterday or today. Biden was giving a speech, and that's exactly he was saying like, well, why do these weapons of war, right? That's the terminology they use. These are weapons of war, and it's like, we can't get a machine gun, we can't get this or that. So it's like, why are these still allowed? And it's like, well, Danny had said about it when we were talking about the Second Amendment a while ago. It's because the government has it. And the Second Amendment isn't for hunting and isn't for none of that. It's for a tyrannical government. So if the government has these weapons, the citizens should be able to have those weapons as well.
Right.
Because when, if you want to say, when shit hits the fan, we, the people, have to be able to fight back, right?
Right.
And then we get into that whole from the stuff in the past when they said, well, what's the AR-15 going to do with this jet?
Right.
It's like, okay,
No.
it's exactly why I need the AR-15.
Exactly
You
why
have
I
a
need the jet.
damn jet. So yeah, exactly like that. He said, if I could afford a tank or a jet, yeah, like I'm getting one and I'm gonna use it.
Hey man. Well,
And go ahead.
sorry to cut you off, but and it's funny that we're talking about it because I just finished watching. I don't know if you noticed they got a new Waco docu series on Netflix. And I
Okay.
just finished it yesterday, and it's all about this government, overreach. Where
Mm-hmm.
they hear something, and it's like they go leaps and bounds, right? I think something like there's 80 people living on that compound.
Mm.
Maybe 60 adults died and 20 kids died. So
Gee.
there's a whole bunch of stuff, and but
Yeah, I think that was it the FBI
yeah, it was the
or
FBI and the ATF. So you got the
okay.
ATF, alcohol and tobacco, and they're there, and they had that whole mishap on Ruby Ridge. I
Mm.
also heard about a guy that had a sawed-off shotgun, and when they went to go investigate, they ended up killing his son, his dog, and his wife. And shooting him as well. And then a couple years later, maybe less, you have the incident in Waco. And it was all these things that they heard that they had machine guns,
Mm.
and it's like okay. And then they also heard that there was maybe that they were taking advantage of the kids. David
Wow.
Koresh, the cult leader, which was true that there was some standings, but I mean, you go in there with the plan to save all those kids, and then
Mm-hmm.
20 of them die burning.
26. I'm looking at the number right now. 26 kids died. 82 in all. Well, 28 were children.
Yeah,
Took 51 days.
yeah, a stand down.
Mm.
And the whole thing with them was that they had machine guns, so
Mm.
they were able to hold the ATF off.
Yeah.
If Biden wants to talk, they were able to hold off the ATF with just machine guns. They had 50 cals, and then what did they have to do with the FBI brought in Sherman tanks. They brought in
Mm.
all kinds of things. They started gassing them, and I think in one of the scenes he's telling any spoilers, right? He tells
Yeah.
them, we're gonna
1993 spoiler.
right. We're going to gas you. They tell the FBI side of the compound, we're going to gas you, but this is
Yeah.
not an assault. And then the tank comes in and crushes the compound. So it's like, all right, you're covering yourself up, but at the end of the day, how many kids died, when your mission was to save them?
Yeah.
Overreach.
I think they burnt. The building ended up burning, right?
Yeah.
But
So what was the issue? Was it to
it
save
was just
lives, or was there a different agenda for the ATF? Did they feel defeated and hard-headed to let go of them? It was terrible,
yeah.
terrifying.
That's yeah. I mean, that's why events like that or just how the government talks, right? That's what people don't trust the government. They don't trust these agencies. There's other motives, right? Where like I said about the FBI, it's like I don't trust the FBI right now. I don't trust that anything that they're doing isn't have an agenda or isn't partisan to a political group. They should be straight down the middle. Hey, the law is the law. The Constitution is the Constitution, and that's what it is. But I don't see that from them. And then just to kind of on the shooting is the way liberals think, right? So there's a couple things on the shooting. The way liberals think is words are violence, right? So if we want to compare January 6th, they said that whatever Trump was saying that day is what caused that violence, right? Even though if you watch the video, if you listen to it, you read his tweets, none of his tweets, none of his videos actually tell people to be violent. He's telling people to go home. He's telling people to be peaceful. Um, And then you have, for example, that actress. What was her name again? Sorry, I forgot.
James Fonda.
So yeah, so she was on The View with those other very brilliant women. So she's on there, and I believe they were talking about abortion, right? And I think they were asking her how she would solve it, or something somewhere along those lines. And then she mentions that she's thought about murder. So, in other words, killing pro-lifers, right?
Pro-lifers, yeah, she mentioned murder.
So, would you say Christians are pro-lifers?
Predominantly. Right?
Yeah. So, would you say this shooter technically did what James Fonda said? Like, if words are violence and incitement and all that,
Right.
wouldn't her speech, based on their standards, mean normally? I mean, hey, what she said was it's completely, what do you call it? Unrelated, like unattached to this event, right?
Right.
But if that's the standard that they want to uphold, doesn't she bear some responsibility based on the standards she's setting for everybody else?
Right. I mean, she said it on a huge platform. I mean, how many people listen to The View, right? How many
Yeah.
people use The View as their main source of news? It's
Yeah.
whatever Whoopi says, goes, and it's sad to say, but it's that's how the media has us right now. We're so divided. Everything is just so divided that we all have our own beliefs, but some things are just written plain, right?
Yeah.
You can't be saying that stuff on TV and expect to get away with it.
Yeah, it's I'm just saying, like, if they want to have that standard and that's how they want to hold people to it, well, why doesn't that standard apply to them?
Yeah, get ready
right?
for it to come back towards you.
So, just the thing, like me personally, again, I know she said that a few weeks ago. She doesn't know this person, I'm sure. But again, I'm just showing what standard they have set for everybody else.
Right.
That where if words are violence or what you say incites violence, then hey, it's you you should bear some of that responsibility if that's the world you want to live in.
Time to walk the
But
line.
but they won't.
Yeah.
They won't. She'll probably just say, or I was just saying that, kind of like it was just like a random comment, kind of like a joke, right? I was just like a jest.
And to me, it's really hard to take it as a joke because the other, whatever their names are, they try to tell her, hey, relax, and she kept that face.
Yeah, she kept going.
She said murder, and it's like, it's going to be hard to rebuttal after that, whether, it sounded like you meant it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so, that's kind of one of the things I thought of. The other thing was, the press secretary, right, for Katie Hobbs, I think she had tweeted out after the shooting. So it wasn't like she did it before and it's just coincidentally the shooting happened. It's like the shooting happened, then she tweets out, which is, let me pull it up right here. She tweeted out something about when we see, what did she say? Us when we see transphobes. So let's. So you got right here. So she tweets out is it called a GIF or a GIF?
Either or, I say GIF.
GIF, yeah, GIF. That's what I'll say. So Jocelyn Berry, shout out to very smart lady. She tweeted out after the shooting, us when we see transphobes, and it's a lady that's picking up two guns. So when the GIF is moving, she's pointing two guns at, the direction in front of her. And she is the press or was, because she, I think she ended up resigning, if I'm not mistaken. But this happened 12 hours after the shooting. So this is her way and their way of justifying killing Christians because Christians are quote unquote transphobes, right? So in her mind, she's already demonstrated with that tweet. In her mind, these 6 people that died is justified because maybe their beliefs. So then it goes into, well, if this trans, shooter, whatever, that lady, right, that thinks she's a man, if she shot that Christian school because they're Christians and their beliefs, then does that mean this was a hate crime?
Right.
And I'm going to say, yeah, it was, right? So the press secretary for the governor of Arizona just shows you the amount of hate they have to where a school gets shot up, and that whole, spiel they give about kids dying in school goes away, and it's like, oh, this is what happens when we see transphobes.
It's disgusting, Daniel. I mean, you see it on Twitter, and you see everybody. It's like almost like these people, and it's the same people spewing out this leftist stuff. It's like they have these tweets on their drafts already. Kind of saved for the next school shooting, for the next breaking news or something. Because I mean, the stuff that they put out. I saw another one, a tweet that said, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, and still again making fun of Christianity, making fun of a tool that we use to thoughts and prayers. Again, if you don't believe, if you want to go ahead and make fun of my sky god or whatever you want to call him, but at the end of the day, you want me to even
fully accept
your beliefs. I mean, that's gonna be hard. I don't know how. We're gonna meet at the middle when you won't even grant me that. And especially so close, so close. You said 12 hours. 12 hours.
12
She's
hours.
tweeting this.
So okay, yeah. So that goes into kind of what I was saying before. It takes a special person to type that up. Think about it. First of all, think about it. Type it up. Look for the GIF or whatever it's called. You know what I mean? Like that whole process to send that tweet out is like, it takes a special person to say, yeah, I'm gonna send this, but I think it's what you said is right. It goes into that because they won't grant us what they're so loud about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they want everybody to accept them, accept what they're doing, accept this, that, this, and that. But you tell them, you know what? My faith, my religion doesn't allow me to fall in with that.
Right.
They won't give you that same respect that they're so angrily yelling about. And it's like the NHL thing, right? I think you had shown me that earlier with, some lady was like, well, if the NHL player doesn't put on the flag, it's his job, the pride flag. It's, he's playing for the team. He should wear the flag. And if he doesn't, that's, he should get fired, lose his job right away. Boom. And it's like, okay, lady, person, whatever. It's like when your job tells you, because I'm pretty sure she's not going to like this. If her job ever told her, put on a MAGA hat, your job wants you to do it. You think she's just going to be like, okay, is what you want me to do?
Yeah.
Like, no, she's not. She's not going to. Again, it's the standard they set, they can't live up to. And when it comes and it turns back to them, they're not going to like it.
No, and the same thing, right? I mean, I wouldn't want somebody telling me I have to put a MAGA hat on, right? But it's like,
right.
You gotta, again, we're talking about that overreach. I remember them not liking when somebody got told, shut up and dribble, right? And that sounds a lot like shut up and dribble. And I just feel like, we gotta respect each other's beliefs. We can all get lost in the sauce. But I mean, at the end of the day, where's the nuance conversation where I learn something off of you and you learn something off of me? But no, the first thing is we always want to point, right? Kind of like the gift that she has. She has 2 guns pointing at, transphobe or whatever. But it reminds me a lot of, I don't know, growing up as a kid, Daniel, these little books, the ad-lib books, right? You just put in whatever word and it's a crazy story. I mean, you can do that with whatever phrase. The shooter was Proud Boy, was trans, turns out anybody can be just a bad human being. Anybody. anybody, not just one particular person, right? There's no correlation in that. It's always, we got to find the root. Is it the
Mm-hmm.
guns? I don't think so. We've got guns. You've got guns. They're safe. They're not going nowhere. They're not jumping up and getting in my car and going somewhere and doing dirty deeds, So,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
what's the root? What's the root? You've got, you got your life together. I got my life together somewhat. I think we're doing all right. That's the difference.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
having on your head on straight. And if you need help, go get help. Find something else. But taking somebody's life, taking 3 lives, 6,
Well,
whatever, man, it's not.
yeah. It goes to me. It goes to like, just in general valuing life. You know, um, we're dealing with people that are so extremely pro-abortion, where life is meaningless to them, right? And so when life becomes meaningless to you, it's like, okay, what stops you from doing something crazy like that, right? Life has no, it has no value
Yeah.
to your thought process. And some of the most innocent among us are the babies in the womb, right? Because they're at the mercy of the mother. And because there are mothers that don't take care of themselves during pregnancy, and then the babies end up with illnesses and or whatever. But that's out of their control. Now when you're adding abortion at pretty much any moment up until birth, it takes away the value of life. And I think that's what's wrong with society too, is we're not giving life that value that it deserves.
Right.
So I think that this whole woke agenda, this whole LGBTQ agenda, it's like they got to do a self check there, because they're running wild. This whole uh extreme leftist crap, like it's they need to get checked, because right now they're going in check. I was seeing something earlier. My wife was showing me some person was just trying to speak at the University of Virginia, and they show up to her event, and then they're just screaming, like they don't even let her do her speech, right? Because again, if you want to hold them to their standard, words are violence. So they go up into her speech, her event, and the people that are there to listen, because I'm sure there's people that are consider themselves liberal, that probably want her to be there, hear her side, and like you said, have that nuanced conversation and see where in the middle, or where they can agree, right? Or if it's not disagree, at least come to an understanding. Okay, this is why you think that way, and then this is why I think this way, right? And we can both think we're wrong, but we don't have to resort to all that shouting, shutting people down. They yell at people. They yell at her. They're yelling at her. She's a fascist. And it's like, well, you guys don't understand what you're doing is more fascist than her just freely speaking. Like, that doesn't add up. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, suppression. It's,
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to quiet them down, but at the end of the day, it's like, if you don't have that conversation, we both leave hating each other even more. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to be the guy that's in the middle or anything, because at the end of the day, I do believe you have to pick sides, and it's whatever
Mm-hmm.
benefits you more.
Mm-hmm.
We're not always 18. We're not always 22. We get older. When I was 18, the first person I voted for was Obama. You
Mm-hmm.
know, would I do that again as a 30-year-old? Maybe not. And it's just, you know, everybody's finding their niche, and sometimes it's just we only see the extremes fighting, and most of us are in the middle. I think there'd be a lot of stuff that we can find and um, compare with, but that whole agenda, it's starting to seem insane. It's starting to seem insane, and it's
They're losing people. I mean, I would imagine. I just anybody with common sense isn't just gonna sit by and be like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm on.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like like we've been talking about in the past episodes. It's like people got to wake up. People got to see this stuff going on around them. It's not just us talking about it. It's like it's happening, right? And we're not just saying things to say them. It's like there's actual proof of all this stuff happening. It's just crazy, right? Because like I said a little bit ago, it's like how can you go shout at someone, shut down their event by calling them a fascist? And it's like you don't understand that you're being the fascist because you're shutting down free speech. It's like that's never gonna. Well, for some, I think it will, but for those people on the extreme, I don't think that's ever gonna,
No,
add up in their minds.
Yeah. No.
So, it's crazy, but I think that's why these conversations are needed.
Yeah.
People need to speak up more and not just allow these things to continue to happen, right? Because like I was talking about that University of Virginia thing, it's like the police were there but they were outside. You know what I mean? None of the school, like the dean or whatever, right? No one from the school went in there and like, hey, leave her alone. She's able to have this speech, and whoever wants to be here to listen or have
That's how they
conversation.
paid her to be
Yeah,
there.
like no one policed that or made sure that that lady was able to speak freely, right? And it's like I'm saying, these people go unchecked. They're allowed to just run wild, shut whoever they want down, and again, it's in the name of fighting fascism.
Yeah.
So that's what Antifa is, right? Anti-fascist. But they're the ones doing all the fascist,
Yeah.
the fascist things
The hammer and that sickle that they swing with the left hand.
with their Che Guevara shirt.
Yeah.
It's just it's just dumb. They're just dumb. There's no other way to put it. But to kind of move on from that and kind of go back to the Nashville thing, it's like the way it was handled, right? When the police showed up, when you want to compare it to Uvalde.
Oh man, shout out Daniel. Give him a shout out. Give those two guys a shout out, man. Make sure that they get their due.
We got these two officers, and if I say their names wrong, my bad. But this is with all due respect, Officer Rex Engelbert and Officer Michael Colazo. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. But like, as police officers, I know they got a tough job, and it's like they were getting fired at. If you haven't seen the video, they were getting fired at, and they just went to it. They went straight to it. There was no wait and see what happens. There's no, we all saw what happened in Uvalde. We saw the response. We saw the officers just chilling, getting hand sanitizer. Probably didn't try to catch COVID or nothing like that. These two dudes they had a job. They knew there was kids in there, and they went and they did their job. Like, that's how it should be handled.
Yeah.
Yeah, props to those guys.
You're talking about giving them credit, right? You're saying that they ran, towards the fire, and I'm seeing guys like, Tim Kennedy. They say you always run, towards the fire, but we gotta again realize what they did. Running towards the fire. I've been told by somebody I may know that's been shot at. They said it's hard to even run, even if you have a gun on you. It's hard to even pick yourself up and start running when you hear gunshots. And these guys are running into the line of fire, and they stop something from, becoming bigger, unnecessarily bigger.
Yeah, for sure. And good for them, good for just, taking action. And I'm sure this is something they do every day is, every time they go to work, I'm sure they know they're putting their life on the line, right? And with the recent rhetoric towards police, in the recent years, it's like I'm sure it's not easy for them to do their job when they're constantly disrespected, or it's an important job, but no one, no, they don't get that respect, right?
Right.
That they don't see that gratitude nationally, where you go, okay, yeah, a cop is just trying to protect the community, trying to keep us safe from all these crazy things from happening. So the way these two officers responded, they did their job. They put themselves in harm's way, but they did they did things the right way and got the job done. It's like, much respect to them, because we never know, right? We never know what would have happened if they would have done the same thing as the officers in Uvalde did,
Right.
right? If they would have stopped and waited for instructions, it's like when a situation like that happens, I feel like if you're an officer, you're in there, that's what you sign up for, right? Hopefully you don't lose your life. Hopefully you do exactly what these two guys did, but that is part of your job. And if they would have just allowed that person in there and not confronted that person immediately, who knows how many other people would have been killed.
Yeah.
So
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them, for sure. Moving on to another topic, something I saw, I think was it yesterday or today? I think it was let me check. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, March 28th. Yeah, yesterday. They had Mallorca right there at the they kind of had him at a Senate hearing, and they were asking him questions about the border. And if you haven't looked at it, haven't seen it, there was part where Ted Cruz was questioning him.
Oh, he was grilling him.
And he was grilling him, right? And I think when he was asking him about the bracelets, he's like, "You know what this is?" And the guy responds, "No." And Ted Cruz explains it to him, and it's like it's a shame you don't know what these bracelets mean. It's basically the price the cartel has on these people, and the amount of trafficking, the kids, the women that get raped, and all that. And it's like, that's the part. So as a Mexican, right, as a Latino, that's the part where other people that are so woke about or so against border control and all that stuff, it's like, that's what they got to understand. Like, if we just leave an open border, all it's going to do is put other people that are trying to get here in bigger danger, and the only people that are going to profit and gain from that are the bad guys. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand how people don't grasp that.
Yeah, I think it's it's just, again, maybe the verbiage. Again, you're talking about being Mexican and all Mexican American. When I grew up, maybe I knew a couple of family members that crossed over using coyotes, and it was never really something that you thought like, oh, coyote's a bad man, oh, coyote's this or that. You just that's the guy that's gonna get you across the border. Growing up, when I heard Bill Maher mention it, and he was kind of making light of it, calling coyotes or whatever. They're human traffickers, man.
Yeah,
it's human trafficking. That they're not just assisting you. There's no, I really want to help you because I want you to get to the promised land. They're there because they're gonna get funded, whether you make it alive or where you make it at all.
Yeah,
so
they got your money.
They got your money, and I hear coyote, and it's not that bad of a person. It's a human trafficker. And he's gonna get you across and take your hands are and life are in his hands. So
yeah, I remember growing up, we had a guy, I forgot his name, but even if I did, I guess I wouldn't say it. I remember he was, well, we were little, right? I remember he was bringing his wife through a coyote, and I remember him saying, I think at the time it cost like $2,500. And I think a lot of people from the church kind of, gave him some money to help him do that. And it turns out, like, you wire the money to the coyote or whoever, and then they're supposed to bring the person you're trying to bring over here, right? Like you said, everybody knows a situation like that, right? And pretty much from what I remember, as soon as he wired the money, there was no more response after that. So it's like they're taking advantage of people. And if they do get the money and try to bring these people, then, growing up again, I heard of situations where people would pay a coyote and then the coyote like halfway demands more money.
Oh.
Double up. If you don't double up, I'm going to leave this person right here. In the desert, right? So, and that's the thing, right? With the whole trafficking aspect, it's like you're bringing people up here, kids, right? The whole kids in cages thing. If you were so
that's not
all
happening
about
anymore,
that,
Daniel.
huh?
That's not happening anymore.
You would think, right? You would think it's not happening, but they don't talk about it no more.
I haven't seen AOC in that,
Come on, like they don't talk about it. Nobody. I haven't seen anything in the news. I haven't seen any of those Hispanic, Latin, whatever they want to be called, Latinx. Like in John Leguizamo, what's the other girl? Eva Longoria, that were so pro Biden. And it's like, where are you guys now? They're still kids by themselves in facilities, because it's not cages, right? But again, it's the terminology they use. They got to go in processing centers. You cannot leave a kid with a person that just says, "Oh, I'm the dad, I'm the mom," and there's no way to prove that.
Yeah.
If you're allowing that, then you're for human trafficking. You're for child trafficking, even worse.
Yeah.
Even
if they make it here, I mean, I remember you telling me a number. How many kids? Something that we lost at the border. Once they got into the United States.
Yeah. It's, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think that's something that when we had Art on, he was talking about that too. The amount of kids that just kind of disappear after they're released, right? And it's just crazy. If we really truly cared about our, how people want to say our people and all that, it's like we got to do things where we're not putting innocent people in danger because they're trying to come here. And then it goes to prove, like we've been saying all along, it's like this country is a great country. People want to come here because whatever country they're coming from obviously ain't doing it.
Yeah.
So that whole group of people that are also open borders and anti-America at the same time, it's like you gotta get it together. You gotta pick one. You can't be both.
Yeah. And it's like you can't, again, who's actually dealing with it? It's all those border states. But who's the one screaming the loudest? The Colorado. You're talking about, people that have nothing to do with the border. But they vote a certain way and they think more emotionally with their hearts. And sometimes that could be a good thing. But, the logistics of things. Who's actually suffering? Is it becoming, is the violence going up? And a lot of that violence is going up. And when did it start going up? When my boy Alejandro Mayorkas jumps in, right?
Yeah.
Jumps up right away. In these 2 years. Who appointed him? 2021. Biden.
Exactly. But Joe. Yep. And it's just, like you said, right? That's kind of like California giving reparations for slavery. It's like, what? Yeah. But it's a sad situation. Again, we get why people want to come here, but if we just do it with no control, then yeah, people are going to suffer.
Yeah.
And we can see that's what's happening.
Yeah. And it's gone, it's not the same border anymore, right? It's not the same immigrants that are coming over. It's from all across the world, and it's, say what you say about Mexico, not the greatest, not the
Mm-hmm.
best, but whatever's below that is gonna be 10 times whatever Mexico isn't, right? And that's
Yeah.
where they're coming from. They're coming from Haiti. They're coming from, and some are looking for better lives. Some are looking to scheme.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And that's the thing too. It's like you can't say that, or you can't think that. You automatically got to assume everybody coming up is just coming up to work hard and really fight for what they would call the American dream.
yeah,
It's like not everybody's like that.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure everyone's dealt with somebody that's difficult, that always wants the easy way. And right now, especially in California, it's like it's never been easier to not want to provide for yourself. We see it every day with all the homelessness out here in
right,
this state, and it's just getting worse and worse.
right,
So, I think, and we said this before in previous episodes, but obviously people want to come for a better life. They want to get away from those communist countries, those corrupt governments. But at the end of the day, it's like it's getting to the point where our government is seeming pretty damn corrupt too.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
what's the difference? And if they're coming here and they're being manipulated, and the people that are so liberal about it, and those Latinos that are so pro Democrat about it, is they just been manipulated to vote for the same things and get zero changes.
right, yeah,
So, it's just crazy. It's crazy to continue to do that, right?
yeah,
It's kind of insane.
yeah. And it is insane. You hear about, how, oh, well, nobody's ever done socialism right, right? And socialism and communism are like the number one for like deaths all around the world, and
Mm-hmm.
it comes from famine, and it comes from, hey, we need your land so we can grow grass, we can grow food on it, and then at the end of the day, you don't get your royalties, you don't get nothing, and you gave up your land because they
Mm-hmm.
promised you something where everybody was going to be equal. And
Yeah.
people forget, you know, equal means knapsacks. Equal means a bag of rice a day and beans, and maybe if you're good, if you didn't cross the street or if you're saying good things about Che Guevara, you get a little bit of meat, a little bit
Yeah.
of bacon or something.
Mm-hmm.
So is that what they really want? We want to eat crickets. We want
I mean,
socialist medicine where we're sitting in the, yeah, sure, everything is free, but we got to sit in the waiting room for 3 to 4 hours until we get checked with a broken leg or something. So
yeah.
they don't see this. Again, these are the people that do have insurance. These are the people, that do have security. Gavin Newsom has security, and you always hear, about gun control.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
going back to the shooter, not the shooter of the in Nashville, she or he, wherever, 3 guns, right? A handgun and 2 AR styles. Did you see my boy Biden say that handgun and 2 AKs?
No, I didn't see that.
Come on. So, 2 AKs, that's a big spooky gun, right? You don't even gotta
Yeah.
know much, and you think AK is, ooh, what's that big banana clip thing? So he says that, again, TV, big platform, CNN, whoever says that. It
Mm-hmm.
turns out, that one of those AR-15s was a Keltec, and
Mm-hmm.
it shoots handgun, like a
Oh, okay.
45 or something like that, which
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a handgun bullet. And the other thing, the AR that the shooter had, that the shooter had,
The she.
she had the bump.
Oh,
It's
okay.
banned, the strap. So that's just another law that the ATF just passed.
Mm-hmm.
The first major shooting, and the AR has that. So is it working? Are you overreaching? Whatever you're trying to use to regulate us, is it working?
Nah.
No.
And that's the thing. That's the thing, right? You know, criminals are not gonna follow the law. If you look at these states with strict gun control, it's like they're not gonna give their guns up just because you say, all right, we're banning assault rifles or assault weapons, whatever blanket statement you want to throw over it, and you don't even really define what it is. But then you say it's a semi-automatic weapon. Well, it's like, well, so is a handgun. So they don't even really define it. It's like no criminal is gonna turn in their gun or stop acquiring guns.
Yeah,
It's just not gonna happen. But who's gonna be the people that end up losing there? It's like the law-abiding citizens that had all their guns taken away.
right.
But again, I don't think it'll ever get to that point because the Second Amendment is there to defend against that kind of stuff, that kind of overreach.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's weird because it's like they don't understand it. They don't comprehend that, yeah, these events that happen, these shootings aren't, it doesn't, as conservatives, as gun owners, it's now, we don't get happy. You know what I mean? It doesn't, to me, it's not even political to where the first thing I think about is, damn, politics. First thing I think about is like, damn, that person's crazy. I hope they got shot. I hope they got killed, because that's what that kind of person deserves. When someone does that, it's like, yeah, don't take them in. This is my opinion. It might sound crazy, but it's like, don't take them in, dude. Take them out. You know what I mean? Don't take them in, take them out. And I just think that politics shouldn't be thrown into these things, right? But that's the first thing that kind of gets thrown out there immediately. You had the White House press secretary. She was saying it was like, oh, if Republicans would only pass the gun legislation that it's like, what if they did, what was that going to stop? Was that going to stop this crazy woman from going and doing what she was going to do? No, it wasn't going to stop her. So it's like, don't go into politics just because it, quote unquote, you think it benefits you, benefits your agenda, policies you want to pass.
Yeah.
It's like those policies wouldn't have done shit.
No, it's you see them all the time. People, and it's on both sides. The politicians, they wait till something happens and I can use this, and then they go ahead and use it, and then just more disturbance, and it's that we're never gonna learn, man.
It's crazy. I don't know, man. Well, it's just it's crazy times we're living in, right? And yeah, everything is so political. And I think one of the goals I think here that we're doing is not so much to be political, but give people a different perspective. And obviously we've said we're conservative, right? We lean conservative. We go down the line of our values, and we end up being more conservative than liberal. But it's like, we don't want to throw it in your face. We don't want to jam it down your throat. It's like, if we've said before, if you do your own research, or you did some follow up and you ended up still agreeing with that, then it is what it is. You took the time, and that's where you landed, then that's where you landed. But we should be able to, like we said earlier, to respect each other, right? That same respect that everyone else is demanding, it's like they should be able to give it back, and it goes both ways. Otherwise, we're just going to continue going down this very divisive path that we're on. Yeah, it just there is, like, if you ask me, like, there's no how could you cut it, like, remedy in the near future that I could see, right? It gets to the point where I start thinking, yeah, there's not even a way we can be a country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't coexist as a country. And it's kind of crazy because it's like, it's the United States of America. It's supposed to be a superpower,
Yeah.
a strong nation. Again, the word united is in there, and it's like, no, we're not. You know, I don't think it's ever been. I don't know. Maybe it has, but it's pretty damn divided, and it's crazy because I don't see any resolve to that anytime soon.
Yeah.
So, damn. Well,
Open up your
we'll see.
Bible. Time.
Yeah, and then, the other thing I was telling you about kind of before we finish off is they had the defense secretary too, and they were questioning him. I think that was today, and I believe was it Jim Banks from Indiana who was asking the Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin if he had any regrets for the way the whole situation in Afghanistan played out as far as the withdrawal. And to me, it's crazy that he was asked, "Do you have any regrets about the withdrawal?" And then all he said was, "I support President Biden's decision. I don't have any regrets." That was his response.
Not one?
Not one, not two, not three. I sound like LeBron. Not four, not five, not 13. Nothing. No regrets. It's like, it's crazy because it caused the life of American soldiers because that wasn't executed correctly. That watching that whole situation play out from afar, I mean, what you saw in the media and all that, it looked like a mess.
Seeing people go into the hydraulic systems thinking that they were going to be okay in these behemoth planes. That
or the people that were, holding up the wheels, and they're, I don't know how high in the air, and it's like, oh, well, you got to let go. You know what I mean? And they're falling out of the sky. It's like it was a huge mess.
Daniel, that's the option. That's your best option, to hug that tire as hard as you can, than to stay and stick around.
Yeah,
and
the way. Yeah.
No, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, just the way the whole withdrawing from there is just. If you ever wanted to see incompetency, like that right there would be one of the hugest examples you could find. And I gotta see something. I gotta look it up because I saw this the other day, and so I could be wrong. So if you want to fact check, you can fact check me later.
Reuters.
But I saw somewhere that there was I don't know if he was a Marine or I don't know if he was from the Navy, but a soldier, basically. Let's just say it, an American soldier. And apparently he had, his weapon pointed at the suicide bomber and basically had him ready to go. I don't know. I think he saw that he was a threat or something happened. And I think it's the military. I think you have to ask, especially in a country, when you're in a foreign country, you got to ask for permission, right? Is that you or me?
Me.
It's technical difficulty. Hold on, I'll mute the mic. Just give me a thumbs up when it's done. But what was I saying? Oh, that he had him in his sights. He asked for permission to take the shot, and from what I kind of vaguely remember, this is that he testified. I think he was testifying that they told him not to. They didn't give him the permission. So, it's one of those things where it's like people especially in this administration, right? The people that have gotten the positions they've gotten, it seems like a lot of them aren't even there based on the quality of their work. They're there because of, identity, or, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this person's black. Here, Let's get this guy. This guy's gay. Let's put him here. This guy's black. Let's put him here. And it's like, we're not even, I think I said this before. It's like, they're not even trying to get the best. They're just trying to appease everybody.
Daniel, you got the dude, I don't know what, I forget, but the guy that looks like bald Matt Damon out there stealing suitcases, Is he the best? He beat the best? And that's the best that we came up with? All right, give him the credit if he's the best. If he's the best, he earned it. But at the end of the day, my boy's over there stealing suitcases and heels. So,
but I mean, it's like when they chose Kamala, was she the best option? No.
And it goes both ways.
No.
Was Pence the best?
Probably not.
So
no.
Not. She definitely showed he's not the best. Not to say.
But like you got Kamala. She was obviously picked for a racial advantage.
He said it. I mean, if you want to pull it up, where he goes, "My next one won't be," it's like, all right, but you are. You are what you said won't be your vice.
Yeah,
so
and they're just trying to have the most inclusive administration, and it's like when they had the opening of the Supreme Court, what was her name? Jackson. That was Jackson, right?
Right.
Before they chose her, Biden said it was going to be a woman of color. There was literally like one option.
Right.
Like,
sorry, I think that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was
literally one option, I think. And it's like,
so throw everybody's resume out. Every Mexican, every Korean, get them out of here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, obviously, she's not stupid. Right. She did, I'm sure she did what she had to do to get to that point. But also it's like the reason they gave for why they chose her was also not the, what'd you call it? The best reason, right, to choose someone. It wasn't like, oh, this person's super qualified, let's get her. It's like, no, they limited to literally you. Because
Daniel,
who you are, what you are.
And I wanted to be clear that it's not that we're wherever we land on the political board. We saw it in the debates. We saw how people ran through Kamala Harris, how Tulsi Gabbard got on her, how, what's his name? Bernie. They all got on her. There's other girls that were there in those debates that he could have picked.
Yeah.
And
Tulsi smoked Kamala. I think she was done after that one.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, was there anyone better than Kamala? It's like, yeah. But if you're trying to fit certain race roles and pander, then yeah, that's how you end up with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, we're not right now as a country, as an administration, our representation in the government, we're not picking the best.
Yeah.
We're just picking, partisan hacks, pretty much. People that are all about the party. You got, what's that loser that was out here? Or who's the guy in charge of the DOJ right now? Merrick Garland. They chose him because Obama wanted him as a Supreme Court justice, and he didn't have the votes for it, so he didn't get in. So now you have him as running the DOJ, and he's being partisan because one of the things he did was when people were going to the school board meetings, parents were going because of all these crazy COVID lockdowns and rules and all that, and parents weren't all about that. He basically labeled them as terrorists. It's like that's partisan. You know what I mean? You got this Mayorkas guy. Like, what's he doing? Nothing. You got this Lloyd Austin guy there. What's he doing? Nothing. Has zero regrets about Afghanistan. It's like none of these people, they're not the best of the best. They're not the best that we got. It's just we're filling in a role just to fill it, and we're gonna use the most. We're gonna go down the identity freaking rainbow and pick the guy with the or the girl with the most
Hey, Daniel,
pronouns.
and I think it's just that. I think it's too hard to be the one that's accepted, to be the one that the most important of the job. You hear how airports have too much turnover because of their own doing, right? They don't have the best airplane pilots. That's not something you want to hear. Same with the bankers. You hear at the FTX or whatever. None of the people that are supposed to regulate are able to catch the decisions that are leading the banks into dismay, but regular people are. It's those decisions that are getting us into this time and time again into more and more trouble. But it becomes easier once you get those low lives in there. The ones that are like, I'm gonna see where I can take this ship, because we don't have the best anymore. It's hard because if you want to be the best, if you're gonna be scrutinized, you're gonna have to. They're gonna bend your finger this way until you say 2 + 2 is 3.
Yeah.
Even though it's 4, a huevo, you're gonna have to say it's 3 today. 2 + 2 is 3 today.
And that's the thing. It's like we've lowered the standard on so many things. School standards are so damn low. Like you were talking about. I think to be a pilot for an airplane, I think the standard got lowered to make it into these colleges that used to be real tough to get into. That standard's been lowered, and it's all because they want equality and equity and all this stuff. And it's like people got to realize, and it's kind of what you were talking about earlier with the whole little, what you said, a little sack of rice and beans, and if you're good enough, you get some meat. It's like people got to remember that equality of opportunity is better than equality of outcome. Because if I work hard and somebody else doesn't, but we end up in the same spot, like, then what's the purpose? Like, why do I have to, again, then I end up lowering my standards because, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what communism is. That's what they want here. They want everybody to be equal throughout the board, and it just doesn't work that way.
And who wants that, Daniel, right? Who's the guy that says, oh, look, Daniel over there has a nice little Ford Explorer. But I'm in my bed and I'm not doing an ounce of work to try and get to it, That's the person that
It's lazy people.
It's lazy people. It's the people, and people. Again, who leans to that side, right?
Yeah.
Of course, that's the easy way. Of course, with all these banks failing, it's shown how capitalism isn't, too good, but it's still way better than communism, anything communism or socialism has to offer.
And that whole doing all that, all these socialist type of policies and all that, all it's doing is making the American dollar weaker.
Yeah.
And as soon as the Chinese money ends up being stronger than America's money, we're gonna have some real problems.
As soon as they start selling oil in yen, that's the big one. And I don't know if you're hearing about that. How
it's almost there.
That some African countries said to drop the dollar.
Yeah, I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, the last I saw was China, Russia.
It's BRICS. Brazil,
Iran,
Russia. Yep.
I think they were talking. Oh no, they were talking to Iran. Might be next, and then the Saudis might entertain that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing? We're making ourselves weaker.
Yeah.
And everybody else is making moves to be stronger. We had an administration that wasn't all about feelings, was just about the country being strong, and we were doing good. Whether people want to admit it or not, what you were paying for food, gas, and all that was half of what you're paying right now. You know what I mean? That raise you got don't mean shit nowadays because everything is double, triple. You know what I mean? You go buy cream cheese. It used to be $1. Now it's $4.99. You know what I mean? You can't even buy a bag of Doritos. It used to be $3.49. Now it's $5.99.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who the hell you are. I don't care how fucking liberal you think you are. You know you're paying more, and the quality of life is worse off right now. I don't care how happy you want to fucking pretend to be. It's worse right now.
Right. And you hear about, you know, people saying, "Oh, well, you know, this is just the cost of living in California. This is just clearly not." You know, there's an exodus of people leaving California, going to other places because they can't afford it here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, this is you know, unacceptable, man. To where, you know, we can't even buy houses like the way people used to again, right? And have, you know, have our family straight, or, you know, have other cars, or keep our women at home, you know, whether they want to or not. You know, that should, you know.
I don't know. I think that's I think a whole nother subject too. It's like, as a man, I think your goal should be to do everything you can so that your wife doesn't have to work and your wife can be home with the kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's, that should be the goal as a man. But, again, we're in a society where, got a bunch of weak men and soft men. Like, again, a whole nother topic, but it just, the standards all around have just completely dropped. We're just allowing kind of there's no quality in what we allow, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's crazy, but like I said earlier, this whole news cycle, like it feels like,
hey, we didn't even mention Ukraine.
Oh, Ukraine, man.
You know, and it's again, it's that vicious cycle, man. Tomorrow we'll be talking about how Barney was a racist or something. It'll come, and it's, it's always to just reset. Yeah. Same thing the way people use TikTok. 5-second video. Next, what's the next thing? Mm-hmm. We're constantly moving. There's nothing to sit down and breathe in and enjoy everything.
Dude, I was listening. The last episode we did, we were talking about Prop 8 and how it didn't pass. Well, it didn't pass in California, and then the court, basically put it in place. Now we have gay marriage. So the court basically decided what was best for the people and didn't let the people decide. And we were talking about that, right? And then I had remembered how the state Supreme Court removed a measure from the ballot that would have split the state in 3. And I was remembering right now because when I said that, I was like, oh, I think it was like 10, 12 years ago. And it was like, when I looked it up, it was 2018. I was like, damn, like in my mind, 2018, like what happened then, that's how it felt. It felt like it was 10, like I was way off. I thought it was 10 and 12 years ago. I was like, no, it was just like 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago. I was like, damn, these last 2 years with Biden is, oh my goodness. The pandemic, those 2 years.
The pandemic.
And yeah, the pandemic, the first 2 years of Biden, these 4 years, geez Louise, man, it's been.
Got me looking like Obama after his 8th.
I know. I'm gonna look. Biden's gonna look the same when he's out. I'm gonna look fucking. Oh my goodness!
I came down here because I heard there was ice cream. Ice cream.
What about them good-looking kids?
Oh man.
What the hell? But hey, man, it is what it is. We just gotta, do our best to hopefully we don't end up with another, the way I look at it, if Biden wins, we got another 6 years with him.
Yo, dude,
We can't do that.
just send me somebody that's gonna help me buy a house. I'll take anybody.
We had him. We had him.
Green Tea Party, anybody, man, just send them my way.
Oh, man. Well, I guess we'll end it there, but we'll thank you for coming on and filling in for Danny. We'll be on the next one, and
you guys should start doing the Pledge of Allegiance before shit. Dude, I'll cry every time.
Right. We're gonna have you on to start the show.
Oh man,
Chris, you with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll sing it like Fergie.
And then you gotta zoom. You gotta zoom into your tears. You're doing it.
Wet ass tear. Yeah.
All right, then, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one then. Peace.